You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about the plight of the black coach in the National Football League. We got Thomas Brown, an assistant coach for the New England Patriots, making these comments about how frustrated he is that no black coaches got hired. Now, look, there are black coaches in the league. I think in part you can blame Brian Flores and his lawsuit for this, okay? I got thinking about this before I hit record, and I was like, what if you had a white coach and a black coach with exactly identical resumes? And you liked both of them equally, and you were like, you know what? I could hire either one of these guys. If you're a National Football League owner, do you not sit back and go, well, wait a minute. If this doesn't go good, if this doesn't go well, and I hired this guy, if I have to can his ass in 2 years, am I going to get hit with a racial discrimination lawsuit? Question mark. So in other words, you know, the Brian Flores' lawsuit may be giving some owners pause to go, well, I just as soon hire this white guy because I don't have to worry about getting hit with a lawsuit if I decide this guy fucking sucks. Some things I don't think have been completely thought through here. Truly. Again, I will die on this hill. I think Brian Flores would already be a head coach again in the National Football League had he not decided to sue the league. I think he'd have gotten hired in one of these last 2 cycles. But you're suing the league. You're suing the owners in the league. Last I saw, there was a subpoena being done for information on all the teams. Think correspondence or text or something. Well, why would these owners want to put themselves out in a position if they have multiple guys? And let's be real, a lot of these guys probably have real similar resumes when you get right down to it. What's the incentive for an owner to do this? He runs the risk of getting a lawsuit for racial discrimination if he decides to fire the coach. Patriots assistant Thomas Brown says it's frustrating. It's frustrating NFL hired no new black head coaches. By the way, there was rumors floating around just about 2 months ago that Robert Kraft was considering hiring Mike Tomlin if this Mike Vrabel situation goes bad, that he would at least approach Mike Tomlin. And look, I think if Mike Tomlin wants to coach next year, he'll be coaching. Somebody will hire Mike Tomlin immediately. 10 NFL teams hired new head coaches this year. None of those coaches are black. Patriots passing game coordinator, tight ends coach Thomas Brown is one of many black assistants who interviewed for multiple jobs but wasn't chosen. Brown told Mike Reese of ESPN that getting many interviews over the years but not getting a head coaching job has been difficult for him. Quote, it's a very complex conversation, something that has been a consistent dialogue almost every single year. To say it's frustrating in some ways is probably an understatement. Brown said, I'm constantly heard this mantra the last 6 years in the NFL that people hire the most qualified candidates, which I hope is true and accurate. But you're also seeing almost every time that is never a black coach, which is frustrating. I've also heard the phrase, quote, there's not many candidates in the pipeline to choose from. I do take issue with that because I've been around some high-level great communicators, great connectors of people at every stop I've been. The 40-year-old Brown was a college running back who was drafted in the 6th round by the Falcons in 2008. After a 3-year playing career, He spent 15 years in coaching, including 5 games as an interim head coach. And I'm going to tell you, you think that somebody like Thomas Brown's pissed now? Just wait. Because I think Aaron Glenn and Todd Bowles may both get fired this next season. Now, I've said this before. I think if Todd Bowles gets fired, Mike Tomlin to the Buccaneers is an automatic cha-ching. I think that's going to be because he's got ties. He was an assistant coach there. All of that, right? But I just don't think this has anything to do with race, or it didn't until Brian Flores maybe decided to sue the league. I mean, if you're an owner, do you honestly not sit back and go, eh? Like I had doubt that Robert Kraft was going to have the balls to fire Gerard Mayo because he was black. And he was a terrible head coach. But I was like, is he actually going to do this? Because he could take a lot of heat. There were rumors floating around that Mayo might pursue a lawsuit after being a one and done. He was an awful head coach and should have never gotten the job. He wasn't qualified. Antonio Pierce ultimately wasn't qualified. You know, a couple of these guys shouldn't have gotten hired because they weren't ready. Right? So I don't know. I don't think any of this I don't think any of this is a race issue unless now you've got owners weighing the idea of, I don't want to get sued because of what Brian Flores has now done. I think Brian Flores has hurt things for black head coaches or potential black head coaches going forward. I think, and look, I'd be remiss if I did not point out the fact that, you know, a lot of these owners also want the next offensive flavor of the month based on system. McVay or Shanahan. You know, Kubiak. Well, Clint Kubiak is a descendant of his father, you know, Gary Kubiak, and who was a direct descendant of who? Mike Shanahan. So a lot of that, too, when it comes to hiring coaches, has got to do with what coaching tree are you from? Are you from the flavor of the month coaching tree? I mean, they tried the Belichick coaching tree. For the most part, it didn't work out. But you get my point. Oh, my God. He sniffed Kyle Shanahan's butthole 4 years ago. Better hiring him as a head coach. You get my point. And that's got nothing to do with race. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.